Hey, everybody, welcome into another episode of the Personal Privilege Podcast. I'm Chris Sanchez, joined as always by my partners at Salient Strategies, Dustin Cox and Andrew Cates. And joining us this morning is another one of the newest faces of the Capitol. It's Representative-elect Cody Vasut. Representative-elect, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing just fine. Thanks for having me on, guys.
So I want you to take a couple of seconds and introduce yourself to some of the folks watching and tell us a little about yourself.
You bet. So I'm Cody Vasut, born and raised in Angleton, Texas, down here in Brazoria County. I've got the privilege of representing House District 25 in this upcoming legislative session. That's Matagorda County and southern Brazoria County. It's a great semi-rural suburban area. I love it. I actually drove through some of the more distant parts of it yesterday out in Matagorda County, and I just like the drive. I love the area. It's a place I call home. Like I said, I was born and raised here before I went off to A&M to get my undergrad, and then I got my law degree at U of H, and I decided that I wanted to come back because this is just a great place to live, work, and raise a family, and I'm excited for the opportunity to represent it.
Well, that's fantastic. I know winning your first election is kind of a big deal for you. What are the past couple of weeks like for you after you won your election?
You know, it's been a transition process as always. It's really ramped up. Obviously, around election time, I was involved in some of the speaker selection process and getting to meet a lot of those representatives. And ever since then, just the meeting of people has accelerated. I've got to know a lot more of the representatives than I knew before. And I think that's really ultimately what it's about, is building relationships, because we can think about the legislature as a body where you come and just debate ideas and everything's based off of ideas. And it's like an ideal situation. But I think in reality, it's about people and knowing what makes people tick and knowing who is on good terms with who and different personality types. So that's a lot of what I've been doing over the last few weeks. It's just trying to figure out people. And it's been a good process so far.
Yeah, I hadn't really considered, I guess, that your very first act as a representative-elect, possibly even on election night, was to get a million calls from people about the speaker's race. How was that trial by fire?
Well, it was good in the sense that, leading up to it, I had met several other reps and developed a sense of esprit de corps, I guess, where I knew them, I trusted them. And so I was looking for a speaker that would let me represent my district and also, be a good right of center kind of guy. And that's just the way it naturally went. And I think having those relationships coming into that process helped me navigate that without being too much of drinking from a fire hose. So it was good. It was fun. I enjoyed it. And I think we've got a good speaker candidate going in.
Is there any? Sorry, I was going to say, is there any inherent pressure coming in to Dennis Bonin's seat?
So we were at a meeting and I was with the other reps. There's about 10 of us, and I said, "So, we get to move in offices, right?" And like, yeah, and I go, "So, can I just go ahead and move into Dennis's office right now?" And they said, "No, there's no way that's happening." So, it's big shoes to fill. HD 25 is going from kind of the top to the basement this go around, but that's okay. I'm still one vote out of 150. I still have the same, rights and powers as everybody else. I'm a part of the Republican caucus team here, and we'll be productive. We'll work hard, and we'll establish the reputation that has been built up before me.
So obviously, next session is not going to look the same as it has for previous sessions with all the lack of the pomp and circumstance. Is there anything in particular that you're really looking forward to once session rolls around in January?
Besides just getting to work, I think, getting sworn in the first time is going to be a good family event. I know a lot of my family are looking forward to it, probably looking forward to it more than me. I've been sworn in, a few times before to other things. And so, it's a great experience being on the floor of the House and a great privilege. But I think ultimately I'm looking forward to just getting to work. You run a campaign for so long and you talk about ideas and you talk about actions and you meet with constituents and they express concerns to you, but just getting down and getting to work is a good thing. It's kind of a delayed gratification. I've been on this trail for so long, and now I finally get to do it, and I'm looking forward to it.
We had another freshman on earlier this week, Representative-elect Jake Elsey, and he mentioned something that I think that I'm gonna start bringing up in a lot of these conversations because I found it to be a great point. But he saw not only his tour in the military as a call to service, but now this as a representative as a call to service. I'd be curious to learn of what brought you into this calling and what kind of helped shape it for you.
Man, it's a great question. When I was growing up, my mom was on the school board here in Angleton. My dad was a police officer in Angleton, and my uncle was a sheriff's deputy, and my aunt was a teacher. And my grandfather was with Rotary and with the chamber, very plugged into the community. So I remember growing up as a kid, sitting around the dinner table at my grandfather's house, talking about everything that was going on in the community, and seeing them being plugged in and making a difference really impacted me. And I always knew I wanted to serve others as best as I could. And it was just a matter of what fit my background, what I guess you could say good at, or at least what I have experience in. So when I went to A&M, I did student government up there. I kind of got me interested in law. I went to law school. Once I got my law degree, I started working. I got to, deal with both the argument of law and the making of law. And I felt that was how I needed to serve. My calling was to serve through the legislative process. I started with city council 4 years ago when I moved back home. And now when this seat opened up, I just felt like that was the natural progression for me to use the skills I had to serve my community. It's through the legislative process. So that's kind of how I arrived there.
Makes sense. It's very commendable too.
Thank you.
Yeah. I call working in and around the Capitol, working on the front end of the law versus going to court, being on the back end.
Yep.
And it's it's my favorite way to practice. What drew you to being a lawyer, and how do you like being in the courtroom?
So I joke, English was not my best subject in high school, and I do it every single day, drafting, pages and pages and pages of briefs. I think when I was up at A&M, it was dealing with Robert's Rules of Procedure for meetings, and then seeing kind of how laws are made. It just interested me. I liked it. I liked the idea of writing and arguing, well, not really arguing, but debating, advancing an idea. And that's kind of what led me to law school. And, I went in thinking I'd be a labor and employment attorney because I did HR at A&M, both a bachelor's and master's there. But I ultimately decided to do oil and gas litigation. I say oil and gas litigation, it's just a broad term. I do whatever they tell me to do at the law firm, but usually personal injury claims filed against oil and gas companies, or breach of contract, trade secret cases. I defend the companies and represent them there. And it's been an interesting and rewarding practice. I've gotten a lot of trial experience as an associate there. And so that kind of affirmed that I chose the right profession. I think I probably would not have enjoyed doing just general HR work, but I like the law. I like the being in the courtroom. If I could just be there all day, that would be great for me.
You still get butterflies when you come into a court appearance?
I get excited coming into a state court. I get terror coming into a federal court. I don't know if you practice in federal court. Federal judges are lifetime appointments. They got almost unlimited power. And, if they're having a great day, it's wonderful. If they're having a bad day, it's scary. State court judges, at least I know I can go get rid of mandamus if I need it. But federal judges, I guess you could theoretically, but you don't play with them.
So we're a day away from Thanksgiving. Are there any particular family traditions that you particularly enjoy, or any holiday dishes that you're a big fan of?
So on traditions, usually at Thanksgiving, we go up to my grandmother's house in Fayetteville, where they've retired up to. They're there most of the time. We go and have ham and all the fixings, and then go shoot down at the range we have there. But we're not going to be able to do that this time around due to COVID. I think that kind of looms over the holidays. I know it looms over a lot of families. I know people are struggling. Some people may have an empty chair at Thanksgiving this year, and it breaks our hearts. We'll get through it, but that's my normal tradition. This time around, we're probably going to be much more low key. As far as favorite dishes, growing up, I hated ham. I love turkey. Turkey and dressing are good go-tos, but the joke in my family is that I'm a huge Mexican food nut. And so any type of Mexican food or spicy food, I don't care whether it's Thanksgiving, Christmas, or Thursday night. That's what I like to have, but probably I won't get that this time around. I joked at church, we have a big potluck on most Thanksgivings, and last year I made that comment, and I ended up getting a special small dish of taco soup reserved for me on the side when I got there, and everybody else ate their turkey and the ham. So
it was Diego Bernal last week who said that he was doing Chinese food for Christmas this year, right? He's going to switch it up and do a different cuisine.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think all the members are getting a little bit more creative with COVID, and having a diverse palate, I think, kind of comes into play. My family, we've got Caucasians and Hispanics in it, and so having homemade tamales show up at Thanksgiving dinner is one of my go-tos early in the morning or early in the day.
Oh, those are perfect.
So Cody, you mentioned church, and I know you're a very devout Christian. I want to give you a little bit of a platform for a second to talk about Revive, because I know you started Revive. I kind of want to hear a little more about it.
You bet. So when I was at A&M, there was a Bible study that I went to on Tuesday nights called Breakaway. And when I moved back home, meeting with some friends, I think we actually went played volleyball that night. And we thought, yeah, hey, there's nothing around here for young adults. And so we kind of got together and started a Bible study. We started it kind of started in 2010, and then it fell off. And in 2011, we started it back up. And we first went from church to church and just tried to meet as a group of about 10 of us. And then that kind of dwindled. In 2012, I got a couple from my church, sweet couple, the De Leons, together, and they agreed to host us in their home. And when we did that, it just took off like wildfire. I think around 2013, 2014, we had 75 people squeezed into their 3-2, on the south side of town. And we started an offshoot student organization at the local community college. And then eventually we moved our gathering from the home to the college. And we've been kind of, working with college students ever since. We've been going about 10 years strong now. And I think we probably had more than 500-600 young adults come through it. And it's just been a really rewarding experience. I think the most important thing that we do is to impact the next generation for the gospel of Jesus Christ. I believe, Romans teaches us that we're transformed by the renewing of our mind. And I think whenever you are saved, it transforms you as a person, and therefore as a person, you transform the world. And that's been the most important thing for me. It's great to serve in a legislature, but ultimately, making disciples is far more important. I mean, if my kids are saved and I'm doing what I need to do, sharing the gospel, that's my standard of what I've done as a success. But I'm going to be the best representative I can be. I just gauge success by a different standard, I think, than most.
How old are your kids?
Yeah, I've got a 2-year-old. Well, I got a 2-year and 3-month, and then I've got a 3-month-old, right? So they're exactly 2 years apart. My wife and I joked about spacing them out, and it almost became literal. She is running around. We put her in one of the bedrooms, I think, kind of on my side over here or out in the back, because otherwise she just runs up and down the hallway screaming, and you'd hear her in the background. So that's my oldest. That's Sparrow. And then my youngest is Lily, and she just sits wherever we lay her, which is wonderful. But she's just been a wonderful kid.
Are you getting more than 4 hour of sleep increments with her?
Yeah, so she's been pretty good. Now here's the thing: when you got kids, as a guy, I'm not. My wife nurses, right? So I'm not the one doing the feedings, right? And so she probably wakes up a decent amount of time during the night, and God bless her. I've got the best wife around, period. But I guess I sleep through it. I doesn't really impact me, and I feel bad about that. But
I was same. Yeah, I was same.
I don't know. I guess Kate is getting 5 hours of of sleep, at least in an increment. I think she's sleeping that long, but to be honest with you, I have absolutely no idea.
There's plenty of more work to go around in the future that I'm sure it'll
Oh
even
yeah.
out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Plus you're heartily outnumbered. You're the only boy.
Yeah. So we want 4 kids, and at the rate I'm going, it's going to be Little Women, the novel. Yeah. So we'll see. Maybe I get a boy at some point in time.
I mean, all 3 of us have 5-year-old boys, and once they get to that age, then your job really kicks in. It's just 70% of the time you're just trying to wrangle them up and keep them in one place. And once it gets to that point, so your work is to come. By the way.
Yes.
I would have happily traded that offer of getting up in the middle of the night and helping with nursing than to being the go-to wrestle monster or whatever else it might be. My kids will tug and pull and tackle and tickle like no other, and they only single me out. They don't go after their mother for whatever reason.
Yeah, mine does the same, and it's because my wife says, "Don't climb on me, don't wrestle with me, go wrestle with your dad." And I mean, he'll just like climb up and try to sit on my shoulders while he's watching a movie. Like, I'm like, dude, what? Come on,
little monkey man.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you represent Angleton. I'm a Missouri County kid myself, grew up here in Alvin. Are there any particular restaurants that are new to the area that some folks might not be aware of, particularly me, as they drive through Missouri County?
Man, so I'll give you the classic political answer, which, all restaurants are great, in the district. There's a lot of great ones out there. I think in my personal view, I like the ones that are kind of unique that don't exist elsewhere. I mean, whether that's honorees for Cajun food, which you probably know in Manville is coming to Alvin, it's coming to Angleton. Whether that's La Casona, El Patio, we got a lot of Mexican food restaurants, a lot of great Mexican food restaurants. Barbecue, you got Ken Joe's, you got Brian's, the Fill Station. What I have seen in the district, which I think is wonderful, is in our downtown areas all across the district, you're getting a lot more of those custom eateries coming in. Like Jackson has a ton of them. They got pubs, they got, all kinds of different unique things. Angleton's got the Dirty South. It's kind of like a Nashville themed music venue. You've got, out in Bay City, of course, you got the classics like K2. So I think if you're interested in Mexican food or barbecue, any of the, what I call them hole in the walls down here will fit you just fine. So I'd come down to drive down to one of the downtown areas, and any place you go will be good. At least that's been my experience.
So you mentioned Mexican food before. What's your favorite Mexican dish?
Queso for starters. Not the Chipotle queso.
Oh, yeah.
Actual queso. And then I'd say I usually get combination plates with tacos and cheese enchiladas. It's kind of a good go-to. So
okay,
I probably have to say
answer.
that.
Yeah, it's a good answer.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and ask that last question since I did the snooping on you, Cody. I snooped around quite a bit last night to learn a little bit about you, and found some like survey or questionnaire or something that you took. I think it ended up on like Ballotpedia or something, where they asked about your first job, I think. And you had said that you grew up raising cattle and helping out your grandfather, who was a carpenter. So, the first thing that popped into my head was, what was your best memory of working with your grandfather as a carpenter, and what is like your favorite thing that you built together?
So my grandfather made, it's always hard, these right here, these bookshelves. And what he was a gem. So my full name is Cody Vasut, and I use my full name. I will attempt to have them put me that way in the house. I don't know if they allow that, but I ran as Cody Vasut. My grandfather, Alfred Thane, was just a pillar in the community, and he's the reason why, he taught me a lot about, faith and keeping that first in your life. But he loved making furniture in his later years. And I remember I asked him, "Hey, I need a bookshelf." And so I got two. And, growing up probably with him making furniture, my first entertainment center back whenever CDs were a thing, I guess we can say that because we're starting to be a little bit older than the generation, behind us, right? I had the CD stack. I had the place for the sound system, the DVD player, the TV, the rear projector, where you needed the big old cabinet space for it. So it was fun making that with him. I've been on several jobs with him. He was a hard worker. Gosh, he was a gentle soul and a kind man. But if you ever worked with him, he was real hard to work for because he was a perfectionist. But I enjoyed that. And raising cattle, we were city slickers. It was always real hot outside. And I remember telling my dad, I'm going to go, get a job where I'm more inside than outside just because of how hot it is. And that's what I ended up doing. But fond memories, good memories growing up. And I think it taught me the importance of hard work and the rewards that come with it.
Sawdust is still one of my favorite smells to date. It's something nostalgia in it. It's something about sawdust that I absolutely love.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We actually, my grandfather recently passed away. We had to go clean out his shop, and sawdust was everywhere. So a lot of vacuum in that. I probably had allergies for a few days because of it, but great experiences. I wouldn't have traded it for the world.
Yeah, my dad was a house framer when he was like 17, 18 years old in Lubbock. And so he learned all this, not engineering, not geometry, just work building, essentially. He's like, these guys don't know that what they're doing is trigonometry. They just know that this goes at this angle and nail it in and shut up and move on. I have similarly, I've learned a lot from him about we built a deck together. I figured out, I just recently remodeled our master bedroom closet. It's a lot of fun to do that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to get that education on it.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's funny you should mention that. My grandfather always said that math was not his strong suit in school. And I think he might have even failed a math class in high school. But as a carpenter, you just do it subconsciously. And he was a master at it.
Well, Representative-elect, we really do appreciate you coming on this morning. We're looking forward to seeing you next session, and welcome to the Texas House.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys having me on today.